So what actually happens after 14 days of cold exposure? In this video, what we'll do is dive deep into, no pun intended, the benefits of immersion of the body in cold water and also cold showers. So for those of you who are brand new to my channel, my name is Lucas, the founder of Boost Your Biology. If you've been enjoying these videos, please like the video and hit subscribe down below to stay up to date with the latest and greatest health research. So many of you have probably seen online and on social media, many doctors talk about the benefits of jumping into a cold shower or using an ice bath or other degrees of cold exposure methods. Now, what I want to do in this video is outline some of the major benefits associated with cold exposure. And cold showers and ice baths are known to offer a range of potential health benefits. However, it is absolutely imperative to note that whilst these practices can have positive effects on some individuals, they might not be suitable for everyone. And so what I'll do at the end is go through who should not be using cold showers and when not to be using them. In addition, what I want to do is remind you to always consult with a healthcare professional before incorporating these practices into your routine. And with that being said, here are some of the main benefits associated with cold showers or deliberate cold exposure. The first benefit that we see is enhanced immunity. Now, just a reminder here that it takes a number of days for the body to increase its white blood cell production. So we don't see an improvement in immunity just following one single session. What we see is that it requires frequent, regular exposure to cold therapy or cold environments to see an increase in immune markers. So what we know is that there is enhanced immune function. So some research does suggest that cold exposure might stimulate the production of white blood cells, which are important for a strong immune system. Now, these factors could potentially make you more resilient to infections. And what we also see is increased monocytes, increased lymphocytes, increased T helper cells, and increased T suppressor cells. So these are the specific white blood cells that we see that get increased following frequent cold exposure. And we can see this study here was titled Immune System of Cold Exposed and Cold Adapted Humans. The next benefit that we see with deliberate cold exposure is that it can enhance the catecholamines. And for those of you who are wondering what these catecholamines are, these are dopamine and norepinephrine, or dopamine and noradrenaline. So the net outcome of an increased level of noradrenaline or norepinephrine is that we see an improvement in willpower and resilience. As many of you will know, dopamine is that molecule of more. It enables us to take action. It drives us towards our goals, and it drives us towards seeking pleasure. And so what we see here is that there's an increase in baseline levels of both dopamine and norepinephrine following cold exposure. And regularly subjecting yourself to cold showers or ice baths can help build mental toughness, discipline, and the ability to withstand discomfort, which can carry over into other aspects of life. Let's get a discussion going down below. Have you just started doing cold ice baths or cold showers? Have you noticed an improvement in your day-to-day resilience, willpower, and drive? If you have, leave a comment down below. Let's get a discussion going. And we can see that this particular study was titled Effects of Long-Term Whole Body Cold Exposures on Plasma Concentrations of ACTH, or adrenocorticotrophin hormone, beta-endorphin, cortisol, catecholamines, and cytokines in healthy females. Guys, listen up. I'm sure you're aware of the importance of personalization when it comes to optimizing your health. That is why I'm offering a free 15-minute Boost Your Biology strategy session with a senior member of my team, where we'll chart out a personalized plan for success so that you stop guessing when it comes to different supplements, diets, training, and lifestyle strategies. So be sure to check that link out in the video description down below. The next benefit that we see is that it can support fat loss, and cold exposure encourages the activation of brown adipose tissue, or brown fat, otherwise known as BAT, which actually plays a role in burning calories for heat production. Now, this could potentially assist with weight management. And if you've seen my previous video on the cold shower enhanced method, I actually go through a range of supplements and compounds that you can use to enhance the brown fat conversion even stronger. So there's specific ways that we can do this. One example is actually vitamin B5 or pantothenic acid in high doses that does appear to increase brown adipose tissue production, which also may play a role in body composition. So be sure to browse around on my channel and find that video if you're interested in learning more. So we can see the title of this study is Effect of Acute Cold Exposure on Energy Metabolism and Activity of Brown Adipose Tissue in Humans, a systematic review and meta-analysis. And so again, the authors identified that deliberate chronic cold exposure does appear to increase the production of brown adipose tissue in the human body, which also appears to protect the body against various metabolic diseases. And that brings me to my fourth benefit, which is the increase in insulin sensitivity. So cold exposure may be a potential therapy for diabetes by increasing brown adipose tissue mass and activity. Here we report that 10 days of cold acclimation at 14 to 15 degrees Celsius increased peripheral insulin sensitivity by approximately 43% in 8 type 2 diabetic subjects. And basal skeletal muscle GLUT4 translocation markedly increased without effects on insulin signaling or AMPK activation, and only a minor increase in brown adipose tissue glucose uptake. So this study here was titled Short-Term Cold Acclimation Improves Insulin Sensitivity in Patients with Type 2 Diabetes Mellitus. The next benefit that we see is a reduction in inflammation. So the connection between cold exposure and inflammation reduction can be explained by the fact that cold-induced thermogenesis actually triggers the release of anti-inflammatory cytokines and the modulation of the immune responses. Now, cold exposure may affect the production and activity of immune cells, which in turn can influence inflammation levels. However, the specific mechanisms underlying the relationship between cold exposure, brown adipose tissue activation, and inflammation reduction are very complex and do require further research. So we can see this study here was titled Health Effects of Voluntary Exposure to Cold Water, a continuing subject of debate. So as a way to adjust, if you're someone who really struggles to jump into an ice bath or have difficulties actually taking cold showers, here's an approach that does appear to work well for many individuals. So number one is by starting with your normal hot shower and then turning it cold for about 30 seconds and then turn it back into hot. If you gradually increase the time you set until cold, you can probably very easily reach 5 to 10 minutes. And interestingly, cold temperatures can actually warm up your core body temperature, whilst hot temperatures can actually cool down your core body temperature. So if you found a way to easily adjust to taking cold showers, or you found a way to hack the discomfort or the initial discomfort, please leave a comment down below, share your experiences so that other people can start to benefit from taking cold showers. And as a final reminder, this is when you should not be using a cold shower. Number one is if you have a serious heart condition, taking a cold shower can actually put a little bit of stress on the heart and the cardiovascular system, since we see a body-wide vasoconstrictive effect that occurs. And so if you have any sort of arrhythmia or heart conditions, this is where cold showers may not be suitable. In addition, if you have a current sickness, infection, or virus or flu, taking a cold shower in that state may actually put more stress on the body and actually hinder the immune response in those situations. This is usually better to promote the use of saunas and hot therapy if you have some sort of virus or infection or sickness, as that heat therapy can actually help to regenerate and restore proper immune functioning. And then finally, we want to be avoiding cold showers or ice baths immediately before or immediately after a meal. And that is because cold showers and cold therapy can stimulate something known as the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight nervous system. And if you think about it logically, when you're trying to digest food, your body should not be in a fight or flight response. We want to be more so in the parasympathetic nervous system response, and we want to promote that activity following or either before or after a meal to promote digestion. So in this case, we want to be avoiding taking a cold shower or using an ice bath immediately before or after a meal. So hopefully you learned something about the timing there as it pertains to how much time we need to spend exposing our body to cold environments. Now, with deliberate cold exposure, this is credit to our favorite Dr. Andrew Huberman from the Huberman Lab podcast. He says, consider doing deliberate cold exposure for 11 minutes per week total, not per session, but rather 2 to 4 sessions lasting 1 to 5 minutes each, distributed across the week. Again, the water temperature should be uncomfortably cold, yet safe to stay in for a few minutes. You can do more, but this should be the minimum to achieve the benefits of cold exposure. You can do very cold and very brief exposures for adrenaline release too, but the 11 minutes is based on a recent study that explored a range of effects and is a good, solid, basic protocol for ongoing use. So 11 minutes total cold exposure per week, and we're looking at around 2 to 4 sessions distributed throughout the week at about 1 to 5 minutes per session. So hopefully you learned something new in this video. Again, we can see the major benefits of cold exposure appear to affect the body in so many different ways. If you have benefited, please leave a comment down below. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.